A few weeks from right now, the single most important window of your entire lawn year slams shut, and almost nobody talks about it. The few weeks before September are the single most important stretch of the entire year for your grass, more important than spring and way more important than summer. Miss this window and next spring, your lawn is a thin, weedy embarrassment while your neighbor's is thick and green, and you spend the whole season wondering what they know that you don't. Don't worry, I've got you. I'm going to walk you through the 5 jobs you need to get done before September closes, from fixing your bare spots to timing your weeds correctly so you don't ruin everything you just did. And number 4 is the one almost everybody gets wrong, and getting it wrong can undo everything else you did on the other 4. Most people find out too late. They wait until spring, throw money at seed and fertilizer, and then wonder why the lawn still looks patchy weeks later. The premium seed you were planning to buy won't save it. Neither will the expensive spreader. Your spring lawn won't be thin because of anything that happens in spring. It'll be thin because of what you didn't do before September closed the door on you. You've still got time though, and none of these 5 jobs cost much money. One weekend, 5 jobs done in the right order, and next spring, your lawn does the bragging for you. The reason this window is so powerful comes down to what's happening under your feet right now. The soil is still warm from summer, but the air is finally cooling off. And that exact combination of warm soil with cool air is the single best growing condition your grass gets all year. Your grass wakes up and grows like crazy, putting down deep roots to get ready for winter. So everything you do in this window lands on a lawn that's primed to explode with growth. Everybody thinks spring is when you fix a lawn, because everything's coming alive and you're out in the yard anyway. Spring soil is cold and slow, so seed sits there for weeks, and every weed on earth is waking up at the same time to steal every inch from your new grass. This window flips both of those problems, which is why the pros do their big lawn work right now and coast through spring looking like geniuses while everyone else is fighting a losing battle. Number 1, overseed your thin and bare spots. This is the job with the hardest deadline of all 5, and it has to happen first. Your lawn took a beating this summer from heat, drought, foot traffic, and maybe some disease. So now you've got thin patches and bare spots where the grass just gave up completely. The single best time in the entire year to fix that by planting new grass seed is right now, in this late summer window, roughly the middle of August through the middle of September, and it isn't even close to any other time of year. Fall seeding beats spring seeding for 3 big reasons. The soil is still warm, so the seed germinates fast within a matter of days. The cooler days and nights that follow are perfect for young grass to grow strong without getting scorched by summer heat. And there are almost no weeds germinating this time of year, so your baby grass isn't fighting weeds for space, water, or sunlight, and it gets a clear, easy start. The hard deadline is very real, and this is why it has to happen before September gets away from you completely. New grass needs enough time to grow up and mature before the cold shuts everything down for the year. Experts are blunt about this, because every single week you delay your seeding can translate into 2 to 4 extra weeks that the grass needs to fully mature. And if you delay too long, your young grass won't be tough enough to survive winter, and it will simply die off. This isn't a job you can casually push to October, because the window slams shut. So you either seed now in this window, or you wait until next spring and live with those bare patches the whole time. The quick way to do this correctly really matters, because seeding is not just tossing seed on the ground and hoping. The number 1 reason overseeding fails is bad seed to soil contact, where the seed sits on top of the thatch, never touches actual dirt, and never sprouts at all. You want to first mow your existing lawn shorter than usual and bag the clippings, so that the seed can actually reach the soil and get sunlight when it lands. Then rake the thin areas to rough up the surface and give the seed some bare dirt to grab onto. Spread your seed at the rate written on the bag, because dumping extra thinking that more is better just leads to overcrowded seedlings that choke each other out as they grow. Then the seed has to stay in constant contact with moist soil until it germinates. Mow low, rake, seed, and keep the soil moist, because if you do that in this window, you'll watch bare dirt turn into thick grass in about 2 to 3 weeks flat. Number 2 is to aerate your compacted soil, and this one pairs perfectly with the first job. Think about what your soil went through this summer with every footstep, every mower pass, and the pounding sun baking it hard for months on end. By late summer, your soil is compacted and squeezed tight, and that's a serious killer of lawn health, because when soil gets compacted, water, air, and nutrients simply can't get down to the roots where they're actually needed. Your grass is basically suffocating no matter what you feed it or how much you water it. Aeration fixes all of that by pulling thousands of small plugs of soil out of your lawn, which opens it up and lets everything breathe again. Water soaks in instead of running off, air and nutrients reach the roots, and the roots finally have room to spread out and grow deeper into the ground. The timing right now is perfect, because this is the exact window when your grass is entering that big fall growth surge, so it can quickly recover from the process and fill in those little holes on its own. If you aerate in the heat of summer, you just add stress to an already stressed lawn. But if you aerate now, the lawn bounces back fast and comes back stronger than before. The pro move that ties everything together is to aerate right before you overseed, because those thousands of little holes are the perfect pockets for your grass seed to fall into, and that gives you the seed to soil contact. That's the whole secret to seeds actually sprouting. You aerate and then you overseed on the same weekend, and you get a double win that sets up your entire next year. You can find out if your lawn even needs aeration with a simple screwdriver test. Take an ordinary screwdriver and try to push it into your lawn soil. If it slides in easily, your soil is fine and breathing well, but if you have to fight it and it barely goes in, your soil is compacted and screaming for aeration. Other signs are water pooling on the surface or running off instead of soaking in, and a lawn that stays thin no matter how much you feed it. Those are all signs of compaction. For most lawns that got hammered by summer foot traffic, real core aeration that pulls those plugs is one of the best single things you can do all year, and doing it now, right before that fall growth surge, is the perfect time to get it done. That screwdriver test is a perfect example of what I mean when I say most of lawn care comes down to knowing the right move at the right time, and not spending more money on fancy products. That's exactly why I put together my book, Fix Your Lawn in 30 Days. Because most folks I talk to are honestly worn out from spending money on fertilizer that never seems to work, and worn out from watching the same weeds come back every single spring. If that sounds like you, this book is the plan you've been missing, because it tells you exactly what to do, what to buy, and when to put it down. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to grab your copy over at fixyourlawnin30days.com and finally transform your lawn. Okay, number 3 is the one that fuels everything else you're doing. Give your lawn its most important feeding of the entire year, which is the fall feed. If you fertilize your lawn only once all year, this is the feeding to do. And most people have that completely backwards in their heads. In spring, feeding pushes a bunch of fast top growth, so you get lots of green blades that you then have to mow constantly, and it doesn't do much for the roots underneath where it counts. This late summer and early fall feeding is different, because it comes exactly when your grass is naturally focused on building deep, strong roots to survive winter and to explode with growth next spring. This feeding does not just green up the lawn now, it builds the underground foundation that carries your lawn through winter and gives you that fast, early, gorgeous green up next spring while your neighbors are still looking at brown grass in April. The whole thing comes down to the roots. A spring feed feeds the leaves you can see, while a fall feed feeds the roots you can't see. And the roots are everything because they store energy over winter and they launch your lawn in spring. When you feed now in this window, ideally about 6 weeks before your first expected frost date, you are making the single highest value fertilizer application of the entire year by a wide margin. Skip this one and your lawn goes into winter weak and comes out of it slow and pale next spring. One practical note on this feed, because it matters a lot for what you actually buy. For this fall feeding, you want a fertilizer with good nitrogen to green it up and build growth, but you also want potassium, which is the K on the bag, because potassium is what toughens the grass up for winter hardiness and disease resistance through the cold months. Nitrogen builds the lawn up and potassium protects it, and a lot of bags are even labeled as a fall formula or a winterizer formula for exactly this reason. If you want to be really smart about it, a cheap soil test tells you what your lawn actually needs so that you're not just guessing about what to put down. The headline is simple, so feed in this window, lean on nitrogen and potassium, and you've done the most valuable feeding of your entire year in one afternoon. If this timing breakdown is helping you out, tap that like button because it genuinely helps this video reach more people before their own window closes. That's all I'll ask. Number 4 is to tackle your weeds now while they're making their biggest mistake of the whole year, and this is the one almost everybody gets wrong. Most people don't realize that when the summer heat finally breaks in late summer, weeds don't die off along with the heat. They come roaring back to life and start growing actively again, and that active growth is their fatal weakness if you know how to use it against them. At this time of year, weeds are pulling all of their energy down into their roots to store for winter. And when a weed is actively pulling things down into its roots, anything you put on it gets pulled down with it, straight into the root system where it can actually kill the plant. That means fall is the single most effective time of year to deal with broadleaf weeds like dandelions and clover. You hit them now and they carry their own demise right down into the root, which kills the whole weed, including the part you can't see, instead of just the top part you can see above ground. This is where the critical mistake comes in. And this is why I said that number 4 ruins everything if you get it wrong. You cannot do heavy weed treatment and overseeding at the same time in the same weekend. If you put down a weed product and then plant grass seed right after, that same product that kills the weeds will also stop your new grass seed from ever growing, and you will waste all of that seeding effort from step 1. The timing has to be deliberate here. So either treat your weeds first and wait the exact amount of time the label tells you to wait before you seed, or seed first. Get your new grass established, mow it a few times, and treat the weeds later in the fall. What you never do is both at the same time in the same window, because if you get that order wrong, you sabotage your own lawn. And if you get it right, you knock out the weeds at their weakest moment while still thickening your lawn. This is the step that separates people who know what they're doing from people who are just guessing and hoping for the best. Think about a dandelion in the fall for a second. All summer long, it was busy growing leaves and flowers up top, using its energy to push upward and outward. But now, sensing winter coming, it flips into survival mode and starts shoving all of its energy and stored sugars down into that deep taproot to save up for the cold months ahead. When you treat that weed right now, whatever you put on the leaves gets carried down along with all the sugars, and it ends up right in the root where it kills the plant from the bottom up. If you treat that exact same dandelion in spring, it's growing upward and outward, pushing energy up into new leaves. So your treatment is fighting against the natural flow of the plant, and it often just burns the top while the root survives to regrow again. Same weed, same product, totally different result, all because of timing. Fall weeds are loading your own treatment into their own roots for you, and all you have to do is show up at the right moment. Number 5, adjust your mowing and keep watering the right way through this whole window. This is the step that protects everything you just did in the other 4. People think as summer winds down that lawn care is basically over for the year, but it's actually the opposite of that, because this is prime growing season for cool season grass, so how you mow and water right now protects your entire investment in steps 1 through 4. On the mowing side, keep mowing regularly as the grass surges with fall growth, and never cut off more than 1/3 of the blade at once. If you overseeded, be gentle with the new areas, and let that new grass get established and mow a few times before you treat it rough. As you move deeper into fall, you can gradually bring your mowing height down a little bit, but never scalp the lawn down to the dirt. Cool season grass genuinely surges in fall, and it can actually grow faster than it did all summer long. So if you stop mowing thinking the season is over, it gets long and floppy, mats down on itself, blocks sunlight from the lower blades, and invites disease going into the damp fall weather. Keep a regular mowing rhythm right through this window until the growth finally slows down for the year. While your mower is out, if you've been cutting all summer long, your blade is probably dull by now, and a dull blade tears the grass instead of slicing it cleanly, which leaves ragged brown tips and stressed plants right when you want them healthy and thriving. Fall is a perfect time to sharpen that blade or swap it out for a fresh one. Sharp blade, regular mowing rhythm, gentle on the new seed, and gradually lower as the season winds down, and that's how you carry all of your hard work safely into winter. Watering is absolutely critical if you overseeded, because newly planted seed cannot dry out, not even once, or it dies right there on the spot. The top inch of soil has to stay consistently moist with light, frequent watering until the new grass is established and rooted in properly. This is completely different from watering an established lawn where you water deep and infrequent to train the roots to grow down toward moisture. New seed is the opposite of that, so it needs light watering done often, because if you skip this and let your seed dry out on one hot afternoon in September, step one is dead and you've wasted the whole effort. Let me make that watering difference crystal clear because it trips up almost everyone who seeds for the first time. An established lawn with deep roots wants deep, infrequent watering, meaning one big soak once or twice a week that trains the roots to reach down toward moisture. Brand new seed has no roots yet, so it's sitting right at the surface of the soil, which means it needs the exact opposite treatment. You give it a light sprinkle once or even twice a day, just enough to keep that top inch damp without ever making it soggy or waterlogged. You keep that up for the 2 to 3 weeks it takes to germinate and get going, and then as the new grass roots down deeper, you gradually shift back toward the deep and infrequent schedule of a mature lawn. Getting this backwards, deep watering fresh seed either washes it away completely or lets the surface dry out between soaks and kills it off. Light and often for new seed, deep and rare for established grass, so burn that into your memory and your fall seeding will actually take. Let me pull it all together because when you see these 5 in the right order, you see the whole game plan clearly. Before September closes the window, you aerate your compacted soil, you overseed your thin and bare spots down into those holes. You give your lawn its most important feeding of the year to fuel deep roots. You handle your weeds at exactly the right time without wrecking your new seed, and you protect it all with the right mowing and watering habits. 5 steps, 1 perfect window, and they all build on each other into 1 weekend of real work. The big truth to take away from all of this is that fall is actually the real beginning of next year's lawn. The lawn you brag about next May is not made in May, it's made right now in these few weeks before September closes on you. The people with the gorgeous spring lawns are not luckier than you, and they did not spend more money on products. They just did these jobs in this exact window while everyone else had already mentally checked out for the year and moved on to raking leaves. That's the whole secret to it, the right work done in the right window, and that's exactly why the deadline is real. If you miss this window, most of these jobs, including the seeding, the aeration timing, and that critical fall feed, don't just wait politely for October. They're gone until spring, and you lose a whole year of progress on your lawn. A weekend of work right now buys you an entire year of a better lawn, which is the best trade in all of lawn care, and it's sitting right in front of you for just a few more weeks. If you only remember one thing from this whole video, make it this. Your lawn runs on a calendar, and the calendar does not wait for you. Most of lawn care is not about having the fanciest products or the most expensive equipment. It's about doing the right job at the right time of year. The single highest leverage moment on that entire calendar is the one you are standing in right now, which is why 2 neighbors with the exact same grass and the exact same budget can end up with completely different lawns next spring. One did the work in the window and the other did it whenever they got around to it, because the grass rewards timing more than effort every single time. Don't let this window slip by while you tell yourself you'll get to it eventually, because a few weekends from now the door closes and no amount of work in October fully makes up for what you skipped in the window. Show up now, and next spring, your lawn does the bragging for you. So which of these 5 are you tackling this weekend? Drop it in the comments along with your region, so folks nearby know their window is closing right along with yours. If this saved you from missing the most important window of the entire year, hit that like button and send this to the neighbor whose lawn could use a fresh start this fall. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.